welcome to UBL News, your ultimate source for everything about the game that packs a punch. Undisputed. In this action-packed podcast, we'll dive into the electrifying world of the Undisputed Boxing League, bringing you the latest updates, thrilling highlights, and exclusive live interviews with the champions themselves. Get ready to step into the ring of excitement and stay ahead of the game with UBL News. What's going on, everybody? We are back with another episode. This time we have a long founding member. He was part of the original group that joined the Undisputed Boxing League. He is a very hard hitter, and he is making himself known in the league and also in the community. So we're gonna bring Vlad Jay onto the show today and talk about a few things and see how his journey is going in the Undisputed Boxing League and see what he thinks about some of the issues and so on and so forth that's going on with the game. All right, let's get him on the line. You guys got to excuse me. I'm a little under weather today. I got a little cold. Y'all know how I go.
Hello.
Welcome, Vlad Jay. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. It's an honor to have you on the show today. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. So,
Hold on. What was that?
I said it's an honor to have you on the show today. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Alrighty. So, let's get to it if you don't mind. To start, could you share with us what motivated you to become a part of the Undisputed Boxing League and how your journey through the league has been so far?
Well, typically I'm pretty competitive when it comes to these boxing games, and I think I was talking to my boy Dan, and he told me about this league. So I used to fight with Dan all the time in boxing games prior. We used to be in some leagues together. So he told me to join this league, tried it out. Everything pretty much worked out from there.
Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, well, the Undisputed Boxing League has gained substantial recognition recently. What aspect of the league do you believe have contributed to the rise of popularity amongst both fans and fighters?
I'd probably say uh I'd probably have to go with the live events. Um, that definitely gets people watching, and if you're involved in the fights, it gets you up and ready to fight for those kind of events. You kind of get up for those kind of events, and um, and the fact that you commentate, which is that's pretty good thing about it. I've never myself experienced anything like it before. So it brings like a different level of immersion when you're actually in the fight and you actually hear some commentating going on. It's you definitely get up for stuff like that. So I'd probably have to say that's probably the biggest contribution is the commentating and those live events. It's pretty dope.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem.
As the third ranked boxer in the Undisputed Boxing League, how do you maintain your focus and motivation, especially when competing against other high competitor caliber fighters?
Fighting guys like finding like-minded fighters like myself. Those guys kind of keep me sharp. I spar with Dan a lot. I sparred Ace a few times, and I think I sparred a few times with Tyrone in the past. But the connection stuff, changes everything. But that's what keeps me sharp and ready to fight, top guys and stuff. That's pretty much it.
Okay, okay. Just to take a sidestep, you mentioned connection. How do you feel about the state of Undisputed right now?
Um, the the game itself is the online part is not in good shape. So that's the the game itself, like the bones of the game. When you play on Parsec with a good connection, you start to realize how good the game actually is. But the internet connection in game is a mess. Um, but the game is good. It's just it's hard to separate the two because they come hand in hand. But I can fight guys on Parsec all day, and I'm completely okay with it. They need to figure that out.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man. I just wanted you to see how you felt about that. I know the community is patiently waiting for this update. I know that they put out there that they wasn't gonna rush it, during the recent roundtable and stuff like that. So, um, for us to still support them in such a way that we do is huge. That means that they have something, and long as they fix it, I do believe that it would be the new sheriff in town. Far as the virtual boxing game, I know people have been playing Fight Night for a minute, but Undisputed is definitely.
Oh, Undisputed is definitely a way better game. Way better game. I'll never pick up Fight Night again. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I hear you there. Boxing is renowned for physical, mental demands. Can you elaborate on training and preparation requirements to excel in the sport? And how do you balance these aspects to achieve peak performance?
um, Try to keep good habits. Stay away from the bad ones. In real life, I don't really drink or smoke or do uh, uh any of that extra stuff. My I barely party. I don't do anything crazy. So that's kind of goes hand in hand. Even in this game, when I have to play, I'm already sharp mentally. And when I was in my teens, I used to box all the time. I used to go to boxing gyms and box all the time, spar with guys, here and there. So I got a little experience in the actual ring, but my mind's always sharp. So I, I succeed pretty well in these boxing type games, combat games.
Okay, so the experience that you gained in the ring, and speaking of the experiences, is it the amateurs? Did you ever go to the Olympics? How far did you actually go with this boxing career?
Well, when I was younger, I was in the gym all the time, but I would avoid any amateur competition like the plague because at that time when they wanted me to do some amateur competition, I was involved with you know a group of guys that were always going out and this and that, so I couldn't transition to amateur while I was I mean, I live in Miami, so I don't need to say any more than that.
I got you. I got you. Fair enough. The strategy in boxing often involves striking a balance between offense and defense. How do you approach this balance, and how has it evolved as you progress through the ranks in Undisputed Boxing League?
Um, I'm I'm a natural thinker. I'm always thinking in there. So I mean, I don't want to give you too much info because that's just how I operate. But I get in there, download data, and figure out what to do after the first round. Um, when I throw a shot, I make sure it's the exact shot I want to throw. And if my opponent happens to start making mistakes, then even better.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I like that there. So I have another side question since you said that. the champ is Harvey. It seems
Okay.
like he's unbeatable, right?
Don't
If
forget I beat him once. Don't forget.
you took the words right out of my mouth,
Mm.
okay? So with you having that win, uh, how did you calculate your data? How was you able to break Harvey down in such a way to pull off that win? Because ain't nobody else really touched Harvey. I mean, he's slipperier than the can of oil of 50 right now.
Well, at the time when I fought Harvey, I realized that he was I think I had a mandatory with him once, and he was able to beat me. So, but when I fought him, the data I got from actually fighting him, I realized that he he says he's an aggressive fighter, but he's only being aggressive so you can throw something, so he can time what you do. So I went in there. My next game plan was to just go in there because I know I was gonna fight him again. So, and I don't take losses very easily. So I already prepped a game plan for the next fight. So I went into the next fight understanding that he wants me to fight his fight so he can, do what he always does. So what I did was just made sure that he had to think a lot more than he was thinking before. So that he was not going to be able to time most of my shots. He not pick up any of my patterns. So I went in there with that game plan, and after the first couple of rounds, I started to realize that he wasn't adjusting well. So I just stayed with the same game plan.
Nice. Okay. Nice. Very nice. All right. It's gonna be interesting. You're very close up in the rankings, ranked number 3 to be exact. I can see another fight between you and Harvey coming up in the near future. Uh, controversy and challenges has been a part of boxing history. What are your thoughts on steps taken by the Undisputed Boxing League to ensure fairness in judging and promoting the safety of its fighters?
Um, I would say initially you guys were doing a pretty good job trying to adjust to the way the judges in game were judging fights. So start to add new judges, actual live judges watching the fight. I thought that was a good move. But on the back end, we didn't realize the host switching and everything else had a such a significant impact on especially on whoever stream you're watching. So I think the implementation you guys have is good. It was everything was done with good intention, but at the time, none of us knew what the hosting was actually doing, and it would kind of have like if depending on whose stream you're watching, you're gonna get the the view of whoever's streaming that particular fighter a better view of what they were doing, but not what the other opponent was doing. So that kind of like messed a lot of things up after we found out about it. But what you guys were doing prior to that, I think it was all good. Everything was being done with good intentions.
Awesome. Cool, cool. All right. Well, your fight with Tyrone Phillip. He was just on the show this past weekend. Did an interview with him. You had a fight with him for the Intercontinental Championship. Your fight against him for that championship was highly competitive. Can you describe the anticipation and emotion leading up to that match?
I was pretty hyped for that fight. I think it was announced maybe a week prior. I can't really remember, but I was pretty hyped for that fight. Um, Getting up for you get a little bit of anxiety because it's gonna be a good fight and you're gonna um you want to win and you want to be at your best. So you're kind of like you know you get a little bit of bubble guts before the fight even starts, but when the fight starts, you kind of like ease into things. But unfortunately for me particularly, that at that point, I think a patch had just come out maybe a day or two prior to that, and I was in a fight in another league, and I ended up losing to a guy I didn't think I had no business losing to. I thought I won the fight, but when the scores came out, um, the scores shocked me. So I kind of went into the Tyrone fight with a whole different style I never typically used before. So it definitely obviously messed up my chances for that fight.
Oh, wow, I'm surprised that you say that. I mean, I tip my hat off to you. I mean, I still have the fight on the page of if anyone wants to go back and view any of the older fights from Wednesday night fights and up until now, those fights don't get deleted. So you guys, the page is open. You guys can go back and watch those. But dude, man, you and Tyrone had a monstrous of the fight. The battle with him showcased your skill, your determination. Could you discuss some of the key strategies you employed during the fight and how you adapted to the unforeseen circumstances?
Well, Tyrone is a great fighter, so I'm always up to fight him. And I came in with a pretty good game plan. I fought him in the past, and I maybe twice, and I think I got a win on him. And in the second fight, I think it was a draw, or maybe I only fought him once. I can't really remember. But I came in there, mentally prepared to win. Um, Unfortunately, I was fighting a little bit not the way I typically fight, and at the time that I was fighting like that, it kind of played right into his hands. So when the round started to pass, I started getting the hint that, like, this fight's a lot closer than I like it to be. So by the time I start to kind of transition back to my original style, I think it was already too late. So um I mean, that's all I can say. Tyrone's a good fighter. You can't really show up in there less than 100%. And I know I wasn't 100% that day because of the prior loss and the patch, etc. But yeah, that's all I can say. He's a good fighter. So if I ever fight him again, I'm gonna stick to what I know, not trying to adjust the patches or whatever.
Dig it. I can dig it. Well, you didn't win the Intercontinental Championship, but like I said, your performance was exceptional. How do you reflect on the fight and what lesson have you taken away from this experience?
Biggest lesson is obviously always fight your fight regardless and live with the results after. Um, Changing my style in a championship fight was not smart at all. So I basically helped him, you know, have a easier fight than I could have made it harder for him. But that's my biggest lesson. Do what I'm always supposed to do. What got me there in the first place, and I didn't do that. So my biggest lesson is just be me, stay sharp, and no point in changing your style when you show up for a championship fight.
I can understand where you're coming from, but from my point of view in commentating the fight that night, yeah, Tyrone was the counter puncher. Don't get me wrong. It was some adjustments that you needed to make, of course, but you were right on beat with him. You know, that style that you fought that night, if you just go back and look at the footage and maybe add or plug a few holes up to take away the counter punching, I really think that you already a bad man in the league. You're ranked number 3, but you know,
Appreciate it.
you'll be a force to be reckoned with, man. I mean, I really appreciate that style that night. All right. So, beyond your physical aspects, boxing often teaches valuable life lessons. What are some of the personal growths or insights you gain from your experience in the Undisputed Boxing League?
Um, just being me, just go back to being the guy you always were. Just be patient. Being patient is where it's got me. Everywhere, especially in boxing, being patient always got me everywhere I wanted to go in boxing. So, and let the results be the results. Just stay true to myself.
I can dig it. I can dig it. All right. All right. So, looking forward, are there any particular opponents you are eager to face in the league, or are there specific milestones you hope to achieve in your boxing career?
Continue to fight the top guys, especially the champs. I love a rematch with Tyrone at some point. I think that'll be a good fight again down the line. I have another fight coming up with my tank. This guy Tank, his name is. Heard
Yeah.
he's pretty. Heard that guy's pretty good. He's apparently a pretty good fighter. So I look forward to that. After that, I think we just see what happens.
Yeah, okay. And that fight with you and Tank happens on the grudge match September 1st, Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The card starts. Definitely looking forward to that one too, man. I plan for you to be sharp. Haven't seen you on the live stream in a minute, so I'm interested to see what kind of new tricks you pull out the bag.
Yeah, I'm definitely prepping for that fight because I heard he's pretty good. He's apparently a title holder in a different league. So I'm prepping for that fight.
Yeah, he won the what was it, the 2K championship. Yeah, he was telling me about it, sent me pictures of the league and everything that he was in. So he is coming to win. He is coming to have his names up under the lights in this league, just like you and others. Um, so it doesn't sound like you're taking him lightly. Um, I do appreciate you guys being on the undercard as far as the grudge match. And speaking of the grudge match, who do you see winning? Do you have Burger Man winning, or is it going to be our man JD Smokes?
Um, I've sparred both guys a few times. Ace has gotten a lot better. Uh, I don't know how much better he is now as if he's fighting Burger, but I feel Burger didn't he didn't he, he's still when I fought Burger I feel like he's still in the same spot that when I initially fought him. He hasn't gotten much better, but he's still pretty good. And Ace has gotten a lot better from the first fight I had with him. But if gun to my head, I'd probably lean towards um, Ace. He's made a significant um, jump from the last time I fought him. And Berger is a good fighter, so there's not much more he can make up. You know what I mean? But Ace has definitely got a lot better.
Yeah, it seemed like Burger had the edge. He was the A side, far as the public eyes, the community. And just what I noticed this past week, he has transitioned over to being the underdog.
Who
Um,
Berger?
yes,
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
that's
uh,
that's that's big.
yeah. The community, the members of the league, it's all saying that JD is gonna pull it off. Uh, I'm still gonna ride with my man Burger all day long. Because I got a slight little grudge against JD, but it's all in fun.
We just got to keep an eye on them low blows.
Right, right. That's how he chopping people down is, hitting below the belts. But we won't say his name, Mr. Smokes. Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry. Uh but no, I do believe this fight is gonna be very interesting. Uh I think it's definitely a fight to come see. Both fighters plan to show up and show out. I see Golden in the chat. It's another guy for Burger. He's saying Burger is going to win. Uh, It's one of those if he fights, I want to say kind of have like a Terrence Crawford to Errol Spence feel, but I don't know. It's one of those fights that's gonna be hard to call. Burgerman, I believe, has a very very sound defense, but JD, he's an angle man, and that's what I learned, from
I
fighting
think
mandatories.
Burger's a good fighter. The thing I've noticed about Burger is when he gets in trouble, he makes the weirdest adjustment, you know. And if he can get rid of that bad adjustment and focus on um turning the fight around the right way, I think he'd be a lot higher ranked. That's all I can say.
Yeah, yeah, but you know what? To be fair, if he stayed away from sparring, because I know that he's been he's been in the gym for this fight. I've been part of Camp Burger, helping him train. I know a few others has been helping him train, and all he's been thinking about is this fight. So I do believe if he wasn't so focused on this fight, then he would be higher ranked. He would have been doing more mandatories like the rest of us. But you can't knock the man for his grit. I mean, he got that tunnel vision. He's definitely
Definitely not
focused
knocking
in.
him. Definitely not knocking him.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you are, but it's just like I'm surprised that now the community has him as the underdog. I really am. I mean,
Mm. That should say a lot about Ace though, because I think he was my mandatory when he first got in the league, and then I've been fighting him a few times in the last couple of weeks. It's definitely not the same fighter. Definitely not the same fighter.
no, he's not. He knocked me out my last mandatory. It,
See,
it,
there you go.
you know, so yeah, I got big salt in my mouth because of that. But the mandatory before that, it was a war, and he admitted I made him change up at least about 30 times. I kept him thinking, I know how to fight, JD. It's
Well,
just,
you've gotten better too. So
thank you.
I definitely noticed a difference in our last mandatory. I thought it was going to be a little bit easier to say the least.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you guys are relentless. I realized, let's see, it was you, it was Baby Loke, it was Marvin Tate, it was Tyrone, it was Lee, Harvey, and Guap. Can't forget about Guap. Man, y'all like the hidden assassins of the league, and a lot of people don't know that, but I'm putting y'all business out in the street. I'm sorry for that, but it's the truth. Uh, when it's time to fight one of you guys, it's either step up to the plate or just shut up. If you're not ready to shoot the ball, if you're gonna stand there and dribble on the court all day, then you might as well just go back to the gym and keep practicing. And that's just facts. Yeah.
No, I mean I appreciate it. I'm always definitely I definitely try to be ready for every fight. I don't take anybody lightly, so hope it shows in the ring.
Oh, absolutely. You wouldn't be ranked number three if it didn't. And speaking of ranking, man, I mean JD has been putting in the work, but how did you allow JD to pass you? I mean, he's been grinding, man. He's been doing his thing, but I really can't put the spotlight on you because not only him, you, and I think a few others has passed the gatekeeper champion and the intercontinental champion. And I understand we all waiting on the update before the championships get put back on the line. But let me ask you this: is it anyone you see claiming any of those belts, or do you think the current champions will remain current?
Um, let's see. You got Harvey, you got Lee, and you got Tyrone. Ugh, those are some good fighters. Not gonna lie. It's hard to say. I think at some point, I'm definitely gonna win a title myself. Uh, maybe Ace has a good chance. I mean, even Burger, I would say, has a good chance. It depends on what kind of Burger shows up, but I think Burger has a good chance. Ace and I want to assume Tank, since he has a title from the other league. I want to assume that guy's got to be pretty good to have titles over there. So those are the top names I have that I think that probably can make a serious challenge for the belt.
Okay, that's fair. I this would be my first time actually seeing Tank. This is gonna be his debut on the live stream actually. So I'm wondering what's going to take place when he get up under those lights.
Um, I would assume that he's a big time fighter because those leagues over there aren't no joke either. So if he has a belt over there, I want to assume the guy's really good. And all I can do is be prepared for that fight.
Okay, okay. Hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. Yeah. So this has been a one good, interesting conversation. So
Definitely.
let me ask you one more off the side question here. I know that I done took the path a little sideways, but
All good. I got time. Kids finish their homework, so I got time.
that's what's up. That's what's up. Um, do you think JD has a chance to beat Harvey with him being
I can't tell you. The main reason I can't tell you is because the state of the game. The the JD that I fight, he's solid. You know, uh, Harvey obviously he's a good fighter. You can just look at his record. You know he's a good fighter. Uh, it's just the state of the game. If the fight isn't parsec and they were standing, in the same room, I think it's a good shot because now when you fight on parsec, everything's working properly.
right?
So um, if you're sharp, you're sharp. If the guy you're fighting is fighting a particular style and you know the right adjustment to do for that style, you can implement it in that kind of fight. But the way this game is right now, I can implement the perfect style to counter his style, and he can still the Cardinals look completely crazy. So that's why it's hard to judge. I would like to see you know even playing field fight, and I'd like to see more title defenses maybe on Harvey's part on an even playing field kind of fight, and then I'd be better able to assess that.
Okay, okay. All right, that's fair. All right. Well, as we conclude, do you have a message for your fans and inspiring boxers who admire your journey within the Undisputed Boxing League?
Simply just stay humble, believe in what got you in your position in the first place, and just continue to work with good fighters. Like continue to spar, continue to accept challenges with the great fighters in there, and that's the only way you're gonna get better. Iron sharpens iron, so that's just the only way you're gonna get better.
Facts, facts. And it's if you could give any to the advice to the new members or the upcoming prospects and contenders that we have, all of a sudden we took a big rise. We're a little over 50 members. Going to be very intriguing to see those guys make their debut on the live show. But do you have any advice for those guys at all?
Um, get in there, spar, figure out guys in there that have who have the same mindset that you do, and continue to spar with them. Find the guys that you vibe with, and just spar with them. That's the best thing I can say. Because when the game was running good, I think I was sparring with Tyrone a lot. I always spar with Dan because me and Dan go way back, and I started sparring with Ace, and those guys kept me sharp. So, and
Yeah,
I learned a few things from all of them. So that's the best advice I could give them.
I can't wait till I see Dent. I call him Ant, but his name is Dent. I can't
Well,
wait
his
to.
real name is Anthony, so
Right,
well, I've
right.
always called him Dan.
I can't wait to see him back in the ring. He is something another silent assassin. He don't
Yeah,
talk too
he's
much.
solid.
He's
He's
very
solid.
very quiet, and usually you have to look out for the quiet ones. That's exactly what he is. So yeah, it's kind of a message, to some guys to think they're having a real good time in the league. It's some assassins that's just they're watching. I know they are. That's just waiting for a legitimate update. So you know,
um, what I gotta say is this for all those guys who believe in the lobby so much. If that patch comes out and it's right, you guys are in a lot of trouble. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah, I believe a storm is coming. If that patch is right, yeah, a big storm definitely
'Cause
coming.
there's a couple guys who like live by the host switching, and they get like a false sense of security of winning on the cards. So I mean, you want to go that route, go ahead. But when the game is right, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
That's facts. That's when I do believe you're gonna have to definitely know something about the sport of boxing to
Oh
be
yeah,
able to survive in this game, to survive in this community.
absolutely. Because once and you're sitting there hoping you win your host round, mm-mm, it's not how it's gonna work.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as we sitting here, praying to the undisputed gods, hopefully they give us a good patch. I do appreciate that they're taking their time. I was very upset when they released that they were hoping the Big Daddy update was going to fix the decent issue, so on and so forth. Uh, a lot of people walked away from this game because intentionally they kind of lie. I don't know if you agree with that, but I kind of do. You tell your audience one thing, and then the next, once your update becomes a flop, uh, well, we were hoping that it would have did this, and this. How? But you didn't say that in the beginning, So I don't know.
Um, the the lobby fix, um, I'm I'm a little blown away of how hard it is for them to fix it because it's an internet connection. They they did something with that host switching that messed everything up. When if you can play uh, a solid match in a third party app like Parsec, like the writing's right there on the wall. You should be able to look at that and be like, okay, let's change it up and have everybody play in like a live exhibition lobby and just change the connection system to something completely different and not switch hosts. But it seems like they don't even want to try anything else. They keep throwing out patches for something that they've already messed up from the ground up. So I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. How did you feel about the rumor about them changing the engine of this game?
Well, I mean, I read up on it. They're not really changing the engine. They just the engine had a bunch of updates that they haven't put out because once you put out those updates, it changes a couple of things. So what they're gonna do is basically drop all those updates onto the engine. So the game's gonna look completely different. I don't think it's gonna change the network code because that's just a network code. So it's good. I think the game's just gonna change as far as looks wise, but it's not gonna change the network code.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair to say. That's fair to say. I can agree with that too. Well, Vlad Jay, I want to thank you, man, for taking the time out, sharing your insight, your experience with us today. We wish you continued success in your boxing endeavors within the Undisputed Boxing League. Definitely looking forward to you snatching one of those titles once we really get back in action and those titles get put back on the line. Actually, before we close the show, a few people reached out to me and they feel like you're gonna take over the King of the Hill tournament. That you're gonna walk away with that tournament. How do you feel about that?
I'd like to say thank you for whoever said that. I feel the same way. I feel like if I can get a fight on an even playing field, I th- I believe that I'll win those fights.
Okay, okay. Well, we look forward to it. Keep our fingers
Well,
crossed.
Golden clearly wasn't one of those guys, so I see that.
Yeah, you see him. He's in the chat. He's talking. Golden,
Yes, I
he
see that now.
he feels like he deserves a title shot. He deserves a title. He feels
Well,
like his time is now.
he should definitely always feel like he should get a title shot, but he's got to get up on the ranks.
I think he's what? He's number 7 or something like that.
Yeah, that's not close enough for a title shot, but he'll get there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know he's in the top 10. So, uh, well, all good stuff. Again, appreciate your time, and we look forward to you getting in the ring this September 1st against Tank. And good luck.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good one, sir.
All right, you too.
Bye bye. All right, guys, that was ranked number 3 boxer in the Undisputed Boxing League, Vlad Jay. Give him a round of applause, please. I believe he had a good insight on a few topics that we talked about this evening. Uh, Definitely praying that we get a huge update, big solid update, and we can move forward some of the plans that we have in the league. It's going to be exciting. I know everybody is pumped. But hey, let's get even more pumped for September 1st. It's going to be the first grudge match that we don't have here at Undisputed Boxing League. TBC Promotions is putting it down. So mark your calendars. Get your goobers, popcorn, chicken wings, your yak, your beer, your soda pop, whatever you need to come see this epic event. Don't want to miss. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This is UBL News signing out. Peace.